or the title of Son of God or God as the second person of the Trinity.
Yeah.
They do not believe. So you see, it's the same person. Now you're saying just because the Romans would accept. To be honest, I really have to look into this. I haven't looked into. How can the Romans or anyone else take?
Because they were pagans,
something,
and pagans had a more flexible mentality about gods and stuff. They had many gods for different aspects of their life. You know, now
just like the Hindus do.
Yeah,
the Hindus.
Like the Egyptians.
For the Hindus, if a tree is something that is beneficial to them, they start worshipping the tree. Or if an animal is something beneficial to them, they start worshipping the animal.
Yeah.
Yes?
Those are the polytheists. Now the monotheists, which are the people who believe in one God, are more difficult to deal with. That's why the Romans, in the beginning, they were sending Christians to the Colosseum to be devoured by lions, because Christians didn't. The same with Muslims, same with Jews. They didn't accept to do that compromise of just becoming part of the pantheon, of making Jesus as part of the Roman pantheon of gods. They didn't accept it because
maybe
they
it's the other way around.
one God.
Maybe it is the other way around. Maybe the Christians got it from the Romans. Yes? Remember, like Zeus and his son
got Jesus from the Romans.
Not Jesus. God, Son of God. That concept, they got it from the Romans. Because the Romans at that time were the ones who were basically the political party, and they were the ones who
believe that Christians have two gods. It's not exactly how...
I didn't say two gods.
I mean, it's God, Son of God.
Yeah, so God,
You're
Son
saying
of God.
that they got that idea from the Romans.
Yes. Why not?
Why do you think they got it from the Romans?
This is something not from the Abrahamic faith. So if you look at Judaism, they did not believe that God is a human being. The Romans, on the other hand, they used to believe that God can be a human being, and God can have sons, and God can have other family members, like mother or, I don't know, daughter or something. Jazak Allah Khair.
Like Zeus.
Yes, Zeus. So Zeus and Hercules, father and son, is something which was quite common among the Romans, and their understanding.
They were creating demigods like Hercules.
Yeah. So you see, like you said, Jesus was a lesser god, which is a demigod.
Well,
you know what I mean? So this concept maybe came from the Romans.
There's a possibility, but look, we're kind of straying.
Yeah. So my initial question to you was, because you do not somehow consider yourself from the Abrahamic faith, you're saying I have my own beliefs, and you're saying you believe in a God who is God conscious.
Yes.
Yes. Now, how did you come to that?
History. If you look at history, there are many different religions, many different cultures and faiths that have a different kind of consciousness.
Okay.
For example, the Aztecs believed that they needed to sacrifice people, to rip out their hearts, to offer them to their sun god, or else the sun would stop shining in the sky. The Egyptians believed that they needed to mummify their leaders, their pharaohs, and to give them riches, so they would be rich in the other side, in the other world.
So what do you think of those kind of...
They're different mentalities, different consciousness.
No, but would you agree with ripping off hearts in order to please the gods?
I don't. There's better consciousness.
Okay. Would you agree with sacrificing a human being to please for the atonement of people?
I don't, but that proves my point, you know, because my point is, when people get isolated in different parts of Earth, their conscience is different, very, very different. And what we perceive as moral here might be perceived as completely preposterous in the other side of Earth. That means that conscience is a very malleable thing.
So you're saying morals are subjective, in other words?
Of course.
Of course they are. We don't deny that. But do you think there are such thing as objective morality? We don't think so.
No,
so how would human beings come to a conclusion if everything is subjective? For example, for you today, homosexuality might be wrong, yes, and tomorrow for other people it might be right. So how does a human being, from your perspective, come to an understanding that yes, we have to now decide who's right and who's wrong?
That's a good question, and there's a very clear answer to that.
Which is?
It's because it works. If a certain morality, if a certain way of thinking works, it will prosper. If it doesn't work, it will die out.
Oh,
that's how history has been working.
You're saying if something prospers, it is right. Is that what you're saying?
Basically.
Okay, let me ask you something. Tomorrow, if the society decides that incest is okay, to sleep with the mother and the daughter...
Incest does not work. It has been proven to not work.
You know what? That
science.
is exactly what people said about homosexuality 50 years ago.
No, but look. There's actual proof that incest doesn't work.
How do you know it doesn't work? How do you know it doesn't work?
Inbreeding, exactly.
Have you ever seen
So you're saying,
exactly.
wait, let me ask you this. Are you saying that incest with a father and a son is okay? There's no need.
Not.
No.
But how does it not work?
Because it makes people corrupt.
How?
Look,
I'll give you an
how
example
does
of
it
father
make-
and son.
Okay, wait.
The string of DNA.
My friend,
How
I'll give you
does
an example
how
of
does
father
me
and son.
how
Explain
does
me
me
that.
how does me
They won't
just
listen to
stealing something
science.
from a person and running
they
away?
will, man.
How does it not make me corrupt? If I steal
No,
it,
no,
and I
stealing
don't get
something,
punished
listen,
for it,
listen.
I will do it again
Shall,
and again.
shall I
and
tell you
again,
why
because
your
it's
example is completely off the mark here? I'll tell you
Why
why.
is it?
Because in stealing, you're hurting someone. Yes? What is incest? Incest is where two adults, they have agreed to make love. Just like homosexuality. Yes, you got two consenting adults.
I'd
They
say
decide-
the baby's
wait,
going to be
wait.
hurting quite a lot if it's inbred too bad.
Do you mind? Let me finish my statement. Alright? Two consenting adults, they say that we love each other. The father and the son have decided to love each other. Okay? Because it's a father, male and male, there is no problem about procreation. So any objection you have with regards to them procreating is out the window. Now wait. If you have no objection to homosexuality, why should you have a objection to someone? You know, there are many people out there who say that we want to commit incest.
Because
And in fact,
family is a very important entity in the survival
Say again?
of society.
Say again?
Family is an important entity in the survival of a society. And if father and son fuck each other in the most literal of ways, it rips apart the fabric of family.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
the
not
same,
moral.
Would you not say the same thing?
It doesn't work.
Would you not say the
doesn't
same thing
work.
about homosexuality?
No.
Why not?
Homosexuality is not father and I mean, it might be father or son, but that's incest. And I'm against incest.
Why? Why are you against incest?
Same thing. It's not the same thing.
Why? I didn't say
Because
the same.
incest
Of
is
course it's
father
different.
and son.
No one says it's the
It's
same thing.
people from the same family fucking each other.
But
which-
what's wrong with that? They say they're loving each other.
Because it corrupts family. It
How?
corrupts the fabric of family.
How does it corrupt? You-
How
is
does
it-
it look?
look.
If I go home, if you go home and
No,
fuck
no.
your mother, does it not corrupt
Look,
the family?
I'm not for incest. Just to, I
Me
know why.
neither. Exactly.
Okay, I don't know why you're getting agitated. Calm down.
I'm not getting
I'm trying to make you understand why it is psychologically acceptable for certain people and not acceptable for you. You see the point I'm making? Remember the point, the reason I brought this point up is to show you what is subjective morality and what is the difference between objective
You are
morality.
comparing homosexuality to incest.
No, I'm not comparing.
Yes, you are.
No,
You're saying
no,
they're
no,
the
no,
same
no.
thing.
No, they're not the same thing. I never said that.
Yes, you did.
No, don't put
Yeah,
that
you
word.
did.
I said if you don't have a problem with homosexuality, where two consenting adults make love, why should you have a problem with two consenting family members making love? That was my point.
Yeah, you're comparing homosexuality.
I'm not comparing.
Yes,
I'm
you are. You are literally comparing
then.
homosexuality.
Okay.
to,
Let's say I'm
to
comparing.
incest.
I'm comparing. What is your objection
To what?
to incest?
To incest. I just told you my objection 10 times.
Okay.
So
you have a problem. You have a problem with that, right?
with incest?
Yeah.
I
You have
do.
a problem. Okay.
Hashim.
What about those people who
Hashim.
want to commit incest? What would you tell them?
But if I'm against incest, I'm against people who want to commit incest.
You see what I've just done here. I've showed you that in society you cannot have harmony just based on subjective morality. Because you see
Obviously not.
Hear me.
Where did I disagree
Let
with
me
that?
finish and you'll understand the point I'm trying to make. You see how strongly you disagree with incest. And I'm totally with you. I oppose it as strongly as you, maybe more.
All right.
Yes? The point I was trying to make here is this, that when you live in a society and you have subjective morality, left, right, and center, you'll have disharmony in the society. Because like you'll keep saying, no, it is wrong. It is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. You know, trust me, 50 years, in fact, less than 50 years from today, yes, there were people who were opposed to homosexuality in this country and elsewhere, just as strongly opposing it as you are. In fact, some people used to go to jail for that because it was against the law. Not only in this country, in other countries as well. But today, it has become acceptable. You know why? Because
No, it hasn't.
I don't know which society he's living in. Maybe somebody should enlighten him.
Listen. I know what you're talking about.
It's not against the law anymore.
I
That's what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're talking about. Look, I'm really against incest because it has been proven, scientifically proven.
Bro, I've already agreed with you that I'm against it as well. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there are people in the society.
It's not against the law here in the UK right now.
It is against the law, incest. It is
What are
against
you
the law.
talking about? Where is it
What
not against
I'm
the law?
telling you is that there are societies and there are people today, yes, who want to commit incest.
Where?
Well, go to Holland, for example.
Holland.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, there are people also who want to have sex with animals and they want to legalize that. I think in Germany there are brothels for animal sex, yes, for bestiality. You might be smiling, but that is something which is in reality. Go and check it out. You see, this is.
That's what you said, right? You said what works is what morals come from. You said it's what works, yeah?
Yeah, but what works for whom?
Well, it's the society. Like, so if there's incest in that society, it's going to mess the family up, and it's going to mess the society up, right? Yeah.
According to whom? According to whom?
What? According to whether
According to
society.
history.
Because according to those,
history,
according to those people who commit,
listen.
wait. According to those people who commit incest,
Yes.
they are saying it will not mess up the
That's an
family. In fact,
individual,
they are
not the
saying,
society.
in fact, they will counter this argument by saying that it will increase the love because we are loving each other.
That's an
It's complete
individual. That's an
bullshit.
individual.
You know, and Germany,
You see what I'm
Germany
That is exactly
proof
what
of
I'm
that,
telling you.
And Germany is proof of that because their population is getting older and they're reproducing much less to recover the population. If look,
Sorry, what is the reason for that?
bestiality and incest.
You really think Germany has
I'm
actually
certain
dropped
of it.
in population because of bestiality?
They
Who
didn't.
told you that?
Huh?
Who told you that? How
Listen.
many? What percentage of Germans go and basically copulate with animals? I would say it's a small,
Probably a
tiny
very
fraction.
small
Exactly.
proportion, yeah.
So because of that, it will not change the population. So I think you got your facts about Germany. I'm not trying to say Germans are wrong. I'm saying there are people within that community who accept, which
There
you
will
and I
always
abhor.
be people who will go against the morality of their country or of their society. There will always exist.
Absolutely. That is the. You see, you hit the nail on the head now, which is exactly what I was trying to tell you.
I never denied that.
Okay, so
there
now,
will always be people
so if
who
there
are
are
very
people,
different from
so if there are people who are always against or for a certain thing,
Alright.
who decides what is right and who decides what is wrong?
the people in power usually decide that.
Which means the majority.
Which means the people in power, which are not the majority.
Who put the people in power? The majority in a democracy.
Power put them in power.
Bro, do you live in a democratic country or not?
Not
Yes,
direct democracy.
So in a democratic country, the majority puts the people in power.
Listen, if you really believe that right now in the whole world, like us, all of us, the plebeians, we choose the people who are in power, then I don't really agree to that.
I'm not saying there is democracy everywhere in the world. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying in majority of the countries there is
I think
democracy.
democracy right now is becoming a very, very big lie because people don't actually choose who's in power.
Okay.
For example, in Ukraine.
So you're saying-
in Ukraine, when Yanukovych became president of Ukraine, it was a complete lie because it was basically the money of the Russian oligarchs that bought him power. Then the people got angry. The people did a coup d'état to throw out Yanukovych. What happened next? The pro-Western oligarchs took power because they had the power, not because the people wanted them in power, because they just took the power they had and they used it to achieve absolute supremacy in Ukraine. And right now, the Ukrainians are between two, they're between Russia and between the West. And then there's the oligarchs, which are the government in the Ukraine, which don't care about the people, and they just fuck them as much as they want.
So you're saying the powerful people took
Back to the point. I'm talking about morality and how it defines what survives and what doesn't survive.
Oh, you're talking about survival of the fittest now?
Huh?
Have you gone back to like Stone Age or something?
No, I'm going back to what I was talking about.
No, my point
which
is,
which
you
is
still haven't answered my question.
Which is conscience.
Who decides what morality is acceptable and what should be rejected? Who decides
in
that?
power.
Okay, so the people in power. So now you're agreeing with the people, the oligarchs in Ukraine.
No, I'm not agreeing with them. I'm
You just said the people in power.
No, I'm saying that's how it is. I'm not saying that's how it should be.
No, I'm asking-
There's a big
but I'm
difference
asking
between
you
the two.
your objective
but
opinion.
The people in power have always defined what will be the order in society.
Do you agree with that?
It has always been like
But
that
do you
in
agree
history.
with it? Do you agree with it?
If the people in power are just and they propose right things, then I agree with that.
Okay, if they are- if they are corrupt?
not, I agree to that the people in power should be deposed, whether by peaceful means, which is election in democratic countries, or by revolution, like in Ukraine, like it happened.
So
a while ago.
basically, we come down to deciding between the right and the wrong within morals. Is who is in power decides that. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not. I would argue.
Wait.
Before I let you answer, because it's you.
Yeah, because it's your point.
Yeah, you got it.
Who
people-
decides? That's my question. It's
They are the
who
ones
decides?
who decide the morals. But
Sorry,
whether
who
the
decides
morals,
again? Who decides?
The people in power are the ones who decide the morals. But I don't mean that as a good thing or as a bad thing. That's just reality. how it really works, whether it will work or not, only time will tell.
Okay, let me ask you.
Because corrupt societies with a corrupt morality, they will go extinct inevitably.
Yeah, but
there have been many civilizations.
I don't think so.
All of the civilizations
if they
that
go
existed
extinct,
until now destroyed themselves from the inside.
If they become extinct, yes, then they become extinct maybe after they've done a lot of damage. Yes?
Sometimes.
Yes. For example, do you think Trump and his government is good today? Do you think they'll go extinct tomorrow? No. They will remain in power because they are the most powerful economy. Okay, both in terms of the money, the finance they have, and the weapons they have. So it is the weapons today and the money which equates to power, I agree with you, that decides as to what is acceptable in the society, because they are the ones also in charge of the media. They are the ones who are also in charge of maybe education as well in those countries and other countries as well.
Yeah.
So they can influence with their power and with their weapons other countries.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. But do you think that is the right thing?
What I think is the right thing or the wrong thing doesn't matter even one little bit. Because what's right doesn't win.
It does.
What works wins.
No, it does. I'll tell you why. Because what works is not the same thing as what is right. For example, during the time of Hitler, yes, his dominance did work for a certain time.
In the beginning, but then he started a war, he couldn't win, and he lost the war, and his people got fucked.
You're fast-forwarded.
After he did a
you're
lot of
fast-forwarded
damage.
very quickly. For the time being...
Listen, I told you many times that only time can tell for certain if something will work or not. For example, when the Roman Empire started and they invaded foreign countries and they enslaved the people, they killed a lot of people also. Who could have told at that point that they would be one of the best empires that ever existed, one of the empires that created most of the rules and most of the laws that we have today? The groundwork for the Western society. Who would have known that at that point? Nobody.
It worked, right? For a certain time? In fact, for a long time.
It did work. A very long time indeed.
Was it right?
I think it was. I think it was worth
You think the Romans enslaving and butchering and genocide? What kind of a person are you? What happened to your moral all of a sudden?
Listen, the Romans lived
This
in
is
a very
what I mean. When you start...
very different... You are trying to apply morals of our days to the Romans, which is completely preposterous.
No.
You can't apply morals of our times
whether it is
to
murder...
the Romans.
Listen.
The times were different.
Listen.
There was much
whether
less
it is murder
order,
today...
less civilization.
Listen, whether it is murder today, murder back then is still murder, right?
Yes.
So don't tell me morals...
Were different.
Morals today and morals back then might differ in certain things. For example,
some things
certain cultures...
Listen.
Certain cultures, even today, the morals might differ. But when we talk about something like murder, like genocide, yes, which every sane person will recognize and acknowledge it is wrong. So do not say just because the Romans did it back then, it was right. Yes, it worked for a very long time. Didn't make it right though. And this is where I come back to you. You know why I keep asking you this question, who decides what is right and wrong in morality? It is because it is not what you're thinking now. You're depending on the society. You're depending on the history. You're depending on other people to define what is morally right for you, which is not the way it's supposed to be. You remember you mentioned earlier about your consciousness. Yes?
Let me ask you a question. What is morality for you?
Let's finish this and then you can ask me. So when I asked you first as to who decides, as to your beliefs, you told me my consciousness. This is my belief. This is away from the Abrahamic faith. You see, we came back a full circle and we have realized that just because something happened in the past or happening now and it seems to be accepted by the society at large doesn't make it right. Whether it was the Romans, whether it is the Americans or the British or the Europeans, doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't make it right. And that is the reason I believe that we have to have someone in authority. Yes, someone higher than us in terms of both knowledge, understanding and power, and this cannot be a human. The reason is because every human has some or the other flaw, and every human has made mistakes. You have made mistakes in your life, I have made mistakes in my life. If we depend on people who themselves have acknowledged that they have made mistakes in their life.
So you want to depend on God. How will God dictate the actions of people right now? Where is God when people commit murder? Where is God when people sin? Where is God at that point?
Can answer?
God doesn't exist the way you think He exists.
Can I
God
answer?
is
You
the
ask the question, you're
conscious
answering yourself. Are you asking or you're telling me?
I'm answering it because I
Well,
don't
if
think
you're
you
asking a
understand
question,
my point
I'll
of
answer,
view.
but if you make a
I think you're considering that I'm thinking that what works is what succeeds in the short term.
No, that's what you said.
No, that's not what I believe.
But I asked
I don't
you.
think that's actual success.
Remember, I asked you who
I mean,
decides.
that's short-term success. For example, the Mongolian Empire was very successful, short-term. They conquered, the second biggest empire that ever existed in the history of mankind. But how did they conquer it? Genghis Khan exterminated about 20% of humans on Earth.
What is the point you're making?
20% of humans. The point I'm making is he wasn't right. He wasn't doing the good for
You're agreeing with
mankind,
me, my friend, now.
but he was very successful at that.
But you agreed with me.
point.
Do you realize that? Remember, I asked you earlier who
That's what
decides.
I mean. Good does not win,
Who does that
and
mean?
evil doesn't win. It's not about it's not about who's good, who's the good guy, and who's the bad guy.
Okay, so who decides what is right and what is wrong?
Well, this is history.
You see, the reason I asked you that earlier, you said
There is
what
nobody
works,
who will
and now you're
decide
saying
that.
what
Sometimes
works doesn't work.
Listen, sometimes
Contradicting yourself.
I'm not
You
contradicting
have.
myself at all.
You are.
Because sometimes evil will win inevitably.
Okay, let me ask you the
because
question
it
again.
works short term.
Let me ask
Like
you the
Hitler
question.
won in the beginning,
agree?
and like Genghis Khan won in the beginning.
It's like you're agreeing with
Sometimes
me.
evil wins in the beginning, but long term it will never win because it doesn't work. It doesn't
Who
consider.
defines what is evil?
History defines what is.
History defines.
Yeah.
So history defined at what point in history defined, for example, slavery was good. Because at one point, not only slavery, but even apartheid was legal. Slavery was legal in this country. Slavery was legal, perfectly legal. So you tell me who defines what is right and wrong. You see, every time you're going back to history and you're realizing it was wrong. And that is the reason you
Okay,
need.
so wait, my history is wrong. So
No, I
your
didn't say your history
is
is
right.
No. I'm not saying your history is right. I'm saying your methodology to identify what is right and wrong is wrong.
Really?
Yes, because every time I ask you who decides what is right and wrong morally, you're saying history decides.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I define what is right and what is wrong by considering history.
Yes.
But you define what is right and what is wrong by a made-up God.
Who said
by
it's made up?
something that doesn't exist.
Who do you-
By something that look, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, it hasn't existed. It has always existed
How do you know?
because history is more trustworthy than religion.
How far can you trace history? How far back?
I can trace back history when writing was invented. When people started to write about what was happening, that's the beginning of history.
And who are those people?
The first civilization that had, that wrote were the Sumerians.
Sumerians, okay.
Sumerians.
Which is how many years?
I don't know the exact amount of years, but it was thousands and thousands of years.
10,000 years? Okay, do you think there were people before that?
Of course there were people.
So, in other words, you don't know what happened before. Am I right? That's what you admitted.
Yes.
Yes? That doesn't
Well,
mean...
you can kind of tell what happened before that because there's archaeological records.
No.
For example, bones, utensils, all kinds of stuff.
Even then, you can only go up to a certain
We
point.
can go back millions and millions of years, but it's not as certain as history, as written history.
Look, even history, you can only trace it back up to a certain point. Okay?
Written history is definitely
Hear me
only
out.
until
Hear me out.
it's-
So your argument is from silence. It's called argument from silence. Just because you do not have evidence of something, that means you are somehow implying that there was no religion before that.
Well, why are you?
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, but
Because he's saying religion existed. From history, we can trace it up to a certain
There
point.
was
But I'm saying
kind of a shamanic kind of religion, where for example, when the Indians, I'm going to call them Indians because the Apaches and all that stuff in America before the Europeans came there,
the
Native Americans, yeah, they are a good example of that because they had shamans, they had shamans and they didn't actually write stuff.
Oh, you mean the witch doctors, the shamans?
Yes.
Yes. What about
that? Was the kind of religion that existed back then. When people don't understand
So that was
things,
religion,
they
doesn't matter.
they make up their own
My friend,
explanations.
whether they could write or not, you have to acknowledge they had a religion. Okay? So just because you cannot trace history beyond certain limit, beyond a certain point, doesn't mean there was a religion. This is your understanding.
I didn't say that.
Okay, so how far can you trace history? Like I said, up to a certain point.
Look, officially,
Up to a certain point.
history is traced back.
What if I told you religion has always existed since the first man?
It has, probably.
I don't
Why would you not? Why would you not?
Because man has evolved from ape,
Yeah.
and ape don't believe in God.
So you're saying your forefathers were apes?
Well, of course, religious people, they just refuse to admit that they might evolve from animals.
I'm asking you.
You know, humans are
I'm
not
asking
that
you. I'm
different
asking you.
from
Have you
animals.
looked into evolution?
Are you going to
Humans have much
Have
higher...
you looked into evolution?
Okay, yeah.
Have you looked into Darwinism? Darwinism has become a religion today in a way.
Religion?
Yes. Scientism has become a religion.
How
Because
so?
people, I'll tell you what. Do you believe in science? Anything that science says is written in stone or it is susceptible to change?
Well, if you think that way, everything you know is what you believe in. But you can't...
That's not what I asked you.
But
You're not even listening.
because you don't have proof that anything that you see or what you hear or what you know is
My
true.
friend, you're not even listening to the
Because
question I
our
asked you.
feeling, you know, our senses
Do you know what I
are
just
flawed.
asked you?
I know what you just
What
asked.
did I ask you?
You asked... Okay,
You see, that's your problem.
Repeat the question.
You're thinking of an answer instead of listening to the question I'm asking. Listen carefully.
Repeat the question.
The question is this: do you believe that anything that science tells you, or anything that science postulates as a theory, it is something that is set in stone, or is it susceptible to change in future?
Of course, it's not set in stone.
Okay, so can it be wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so can Darwinism be wrong?
Yes.
Good. So it can be wrong that you evolved from an ape.
It can be wrong.
Good.
Yes.
Now, if that can be wrong, then it is not something that you have faith in already. It is not something you believe in already.
You know, that's the difference between people who believe in religion and people who actually think for themselves. Because people in religion, they just decide, okay, I believe in this, this is the only truth, everything else is bullshit. And you can't think
You
like
don't say
that
everything
because
is
you lose,
bullshit.
you
Don't
lose
put words in our
perception
mouth.
of the world.
Do not put words in our
You
mouth.
lose
Many of the
perception
people
of
who
the
are
world.
scientists were religious people. So stop saying just because you believe in some sort of scientism or Darwinism doesn't give you any higher morals or higher ground to tell the people off who believe in religion. Newton, do you know Newton was someone who believed in religion?
Okay.
Yes.
He
Graham
didn't believe in
Mendel
religion,
was
he
someone
was
who
a
believed in
religious
religion. There were many scientists, even today, who believe in religion. Doesn't make them any lesser scientists.
Yes, but do they have absolutely no doubts, zero doubts that what they believe in is true?
Okay. I'll answer that question.
Is that the prerequisite
I will answer
for a
that
person to
question.
be religious?
I'll answer that question. I'll have to explain to you with regards to the origin of the universe.
The origins
The
of...
origin of the universe. This is one question the scientists cannot answer for you. How did the universe originate?
The who?
The universe.
Universe.
Yeah. How did it originate?
Well,
From something or nothing?
okay, let me ask you, how did the universe originate?
Why putting that question back on me? I asked you the question.
Because nobody
Because
knows
you
for
seem to-
certain. It's
you-
way
wait,
far
you do
back.
not believe in God.
Scientists are not gods.
How-
They don't know the
I didn't say they
answers.
were gods.
Humans are flawed.
I did not say they were
They
gods.
don't know every answer.
You said we believe in God.
That's the Big Bang
Listen,
theory. That's the Big Bang theory.
Big Bang theory.
Yes.
How did the Big Bang appear or occur? How does it take place?
You don't look like a fucking scientist to you, man.
No, you don't. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that
Okay, so Allah snapped his fingers and the world started existing.
now you're mocking or you're asking?
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you about your...
You seem to be agitated. I don't know why. I'm just asking you a simple question. How did the universe
why you
originate?
think
You don't
I'm
have to be
agitated.
cocky about it. If you don't know, just say I don't know. I would rather prefer you be genuine
You
with
know.
I will answer after I've got the answer from you. But try to
The Big Bang theory.
be genuine and try to be not just making up things. If you don't know, say I don't know.
Big Bang theory.
Okay, Big Bang theory. How did the Big Bang appear?
When molecules were so concentrated, like...
Where did the molecules come from? Because you went straight to molecules.
You moved on to a different discussion now.
No, because we have to, because now we have moved away
Okay, wait.
from morality
I don't know.
to God.
I don't know.
Brilliant.
I don't know.
You see, that I'll
You
accept.
tell me.
I'll accept. Let's narrow it down even further. Forget about molecules and
no,
everything.
you
Let's
tell me.
yeah, I'm telling you. Let's narrow it down to either something or nothing. Okay? Do you believe nothing can give rise to something?
I think that nothingness can't be perceived by people.
Does it exist?
It can't be perceived by people. It's a transcendent entity.
Does it exist?
Nothingness is a void. It's nothing. All humans have around them, all humans perceive is something. The space is something. The air is something. The floor, the ground, the empty space. Look, this space here is something because there's oxygen. There's many gases here. Humans can't perceive nothingness. Because we are something.
But we use the
because
term.
We are imperfect.
We use the term, right?
If you're talking about perfection, it's nothingness because you can't.
Perfection is not nothingness.
It is.
I'll tell you why.
It's something that can't be perfect.
Listen to the
It's something
question.
that doesn't change.
Listen to the question. Does nothing exist?
I don't know.
Do you use the term nothing in your language?
I do.
If you cannot perceive something, how can you use it in language?
Well, because I use nothing to in common language. For example, you tell me that there's a dog over here. I tell you there's nothing here. Well, there are leaves here, there's air here, there's lots of stuff here, but I tell you there's nothing because...
Which means you can perceive it, right?
No, to make things easier to explain.
Okay, how would you define
I tell you there's nothing even though... Look, you tell me there's a dog here. I tell you no, there's no dog here. There's oxygen, hydrogen, there's carbon dioxide, there's leaves, there's water, there's ground. That would be the more accurate answer.
How would you define?
It takes very long.
How would you define nothing?
I just told you humans can't define nothing because it's...
Can I define it for you?
Define it.
Nothing, to me, means the absence of everything.
That's easy.
Is that good for you?
Yeah.
It's good for you? So we can define it.
You can,
Maybe
but
some
it's not
people
a
can't,
perfect
but you see, nothing doesn't even exist. It's like you said, it's abstract. Yes?
Okay.
It doesn't exist. In order for infinity, for example, do you think infinity exists? No.
Again, I can't define it because infinity is a term that can't be perceived like humans.
It's a concept. It's an abstract.
It is a concept.
Yeah, so it's a concept, but in order for mathematicians...
It can't be perceived by humans.
In order for mathematicians to use this in a formula, they can use it. You know the symbol for infinity?
Oh yeah, they can use it.
So they can use it in a formula. Okay. In order for communication, it is very important to use certain words in order for us to get an understanding. For example, if I asked you, did nothing create the universe? Or did something create the universe?
I don't know.
Okay, can it come? Logically, think logically now. You have said nothing doesn't exist, and I agree with that. You have said nothing is abstract, I agree with that. Do you think nothing...
No.
Listen. Is it possible, logically, for nothing to give rise to something? Logically.
I don't know.